Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video, I'm going to take a look at the Gamemax FN12A-S31. This is a 3-pack fan set from the good people over at Gamemax. They sent this over for us to take a look at and give you some of our thoughts on this, and that is exactly what we're going to do. So we'll go through the unboxing process and take a look at the fans and see what they can offer you. I actually quite like this. This is a kind of daisy chain model or block connect, so they all connect together, so you do have very minimal wiring. It's all very easy to do, and if you are a novice builder and you're really frustrated with all the RGB and PWM cables you've got from all of your various fans, this potentially can help you make sense of all those connections. So the fans themselves, these are 120 by 25mm, so standard 120mm size. Comes a pack of 3. You can use them on their own if you want to, but they don't include the separate cables, so ideally you do want to use them as a kind of 360mm setup, either on a radiator or in the front of your case, or maybe in the top, possibly even in the bottom. There is actually a couple of colours of these available as well, so you've got the black version, which we've got here. There's also a white version as well, and potentially coming soon there are reverse blade fan options as well. This pack starts out around about the £30 mark here in the UK, which I think is a reasonably good price. I would like to be a little bit cheaper, being that Gamemax is traditionally one of those kind of more budget orientated brands, but in terms of the quality, they do seem to be pretty decent fans. I've been doing some testing on them behind the scenes and actually pretty impressed with them. I was surprised how good they were and how quiet they were, and despite their actual relatively low spec on paper, they do actually seem to perform quite well. So these consist of hydro bearing fans. Now the fan blades themselves are around about 100mm, even though the frame is 120. Generally you find with fans, the fans obviously are a little bit smaller than the frame because that's just the way it has to be. Also, the rotational speed of these, anywhere between 800 and 1600 RPM. The hydro bearings and the fan assembly itself are rated for 30,000 hours in terms of longevity. And in terms of specifications, you're looking at 49.54 CFM for each fan, and also the static pressure, you're looking at 1.52mm H2O. When it comes to sound, this is an interesting one. They actually quote these as being 31.62 dBA over ambient. I'm guessing that is because actually in my testing here, even though the ambient kind of noise levels in the room are around about 40 dBA, with these at full blast, we're looking at around about 50. So I'm guessing they're taking that 31.62 dBA as being over ambient in a specific testing configuration. So yes, they are a little bit noisier than anticipated from the paper, but still very quiet in operation. And for those of you that are wondering, when you're coming to build all this, how much cable have you got? We've got 600mm of cable here to connect to your motherboard, both for the PWM and also the 3-pin 5V addressable RGB. So you're probably wondering what comes in the box if you haven't already guessed already. You get 3 of these fans, which are the block connect design. You get a single cable, which attaches on the end, just clips on. And this has 2 cables coming off it, like I said, so PWM and ARGB. And also there are pass-throughs as well, so if you want to daisy chain a few more fans or a few more addressable RGB devices, you certainly can do. Also, you get a pack of 3 screws to attach them to your case or radiators. There is a very interesting user manual, albeit on a double-sided piece of paper. It basically tells you what you get and actually how to connect them. Very straightforward stuff. And that's kind of it. So let's take a closer look at the fans themselves. So in order to take them apart, all you do is just push them apart and they slot together. So if you look at the edges there, you've got this kind of block connect design, which actually seems to work very well. I've seen other fans of a similar sort of nature and of a similar price, to be honest, which have a similar kind of connection. Quite often they tend to be the ones that lock together kind of like sideways like that. But these being the ones which actually go sideways or kind of front to back, actually do go together pretty easily. And of course, if you want to, you can take them all apart. Although it would have been nice to have seen individual cables included in the box. So maybe if you wanted to use kind of 2 together and then a separate one at the back of your case or something, that unfortunately is something that you cannot do. They do have to be used all together, or you basically just put a fan back in the box and don't use it. So taking a closer look at the fans themselves, so RGB is what these are all about. So there's actually RGB basically everywhere. So on the front, you've got the 9-blade design with the infinity mirror in the middle there. The blades are translucent to allow the RGB to come through, as you've probably seen from some B-roll. Also, you've got the kind of very Lian Li-esque design around the outside edges there. And also on the sides, you've got the infinity mirror effect again, which also is illuminated. And on the back, you've got the same sort of thing. So you've got the Lian Li type design around the outside edges. And also, obviously, the light does bleed through as well. And slotting them all together is, again, it's a pretty straightforward thing to do. You can either have them with them upright or down, and they just bang into position. Awesome stuff. And the connector at the end, as you can see, you've got the little pins there and the indentation. So just line it up on the side there and then push it upward, and that locks it all into position. So yeah, it's a very straightforward thing to do, and they actually perform quite nicely. Let's take a listen to some of the sound tests I did a little bit earlier on. This is a sound recording of the fan noise at approximately 12 inches at the lowest RPM, 800 RPM. This is a sound recording of the fans at 1200 RPM, again approximately 12 inches away. This is with the fans at full speed, approximately 1600 RPM, again around about 12 inches away. So as you can see, at the kind of lower RPMs, basically they are absolutely silent. You cannot hear them at all. And in fact, when I was doing some of my testing, I did notice even at the sort of slightly higher RPMs, I did actually notice some air bubbles going through my AIO at the back whilst I was doing the recording. So just to give you some idea of how quiet they are, even though it might sound louder in the recording, in use, they're basically silent. And they do seem to move quite a lot of air, which I wasn't quite expecting, because if you look at the specifications, so moving around about 50 CFM, doesn't seem like a lot, but it seems to be really focused and concentrated, so it does actually seem to move a lot of air, and these would be suitable for using on a radiator if you want to swap out some existing fans on maybe a non-RGB radiator. For me personally, I think these would be absolutely perfect in a case, maybe at the top as exhaust or maybe at the front for intake. Either way, I think they're going to be absolutely fine. Again, the only thing I would say is with these, because they are £30 for the pack, potentially plus shipping, depending where you're shopping from, they could be a little bit cheaper. That is the thing, is my main takeaway. So if you see these on offer for somewhere in the region, 20, £25, absolute steal. At £30, they're okay, but there is other competition on the market. So there we go, that is my thoughts of the Gamemax FN12A-S31 fan kit. Hopefully the video's been interesting and potentially useful. If it has, smash the like button. If you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, maybe consider hitting subscribe. And also don't forget to hit the bell notification, that way you'll be notified of future video releases. But I think that's going to wrap this one up. I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.